So when did this whole thing start? You're about 14 years into Spraynet, is that right?
Yeah, it started really, the idea started, the seed for the idea started in 2009. 2010 is when we kind of actually, went out there and marketed this and did our first few homes. But 2011, I'd say, is when we really actually started. And at that point, we were only just, spraying. So like we were taking these conventional paints and we were spraying them. And that's when we really realized like, hey, that doesn't work. Like, yeah, it gives you a better finish, but we need to make a product that's also better, because even if it looks better, it doesn't last, it doesn't give you all those other properties. What's really the point? So I would say 2012 is when Spraynet, as you know it today, really began, because that's when we actually started making our own products.
Yeah, and now you hold what, a dozen patents more?
Across a few countries. In the US, we've got 5 patents, and actually two now, probably pending. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of the many things I liked about the Spraynet model is that I call it the secret sauce, right? So not only do you have patents, but everything you do is proprietary, or everything we do is proprietary. You cannot go to Sherwin or Home Depot or Lowe's or any big box store anywhere and buy our coatings. Can't do it. You can only get them through us, and we're the only ones who can apply it. And the processes are patented, or I should say the processes, some are patented, some are proprietary. But the point is, you've trained us, you trained your franchisees to bring the factory to the house, to bring the factory to the property. And what that means is we're trying to control the environmental factors in order to get the maximum adhesion. And when we do that, because we know how to do that, we can slap on a 15-year warranty on everything we touch. And that's, again, another thing that I loved about it, that's unprecedented. You cannot find that warranty elsewhere. Give me a little taste of that journey from, all right, I'm spraying on traditional paint. It's peeling off in a year. We got to do better. Are you a formally trained chemist?
Well, I became one just because, like, if you're talking to chemists, you kind of need to know what you're talking about. I guess it also helps to know how paint is formulated, because you end up understanding what's possible when you're applying it. So I guess like it wasn't even just peeling. It was like sometimes, like, I'll give you a story. I had a customer, we painted his front door, and he was a super cool guy. And he's like, called me, and he's like, he's almost embarrassed. Like, I'm really sorry. My son just walked in and his school bag just scratched the front door. And he's like, can you come do a touch up? He's like, I'll pay you for it. I get it. It scratches. In my head, I'm like, no, it shouldn't be scratching that easily. Like that doesn't make any sense, right? So that's what actually started to make me obsessed with, okay, how do we now create a product that's like the factory, but on site? So what I did is I tried to go to a factory and I said, hey, can you give me those paints? Can you give me the paints that you apply on brand new doors when you ship them out? Because those don't scratch, those don't peel. So I finally convinced one of those factories to give me a gallon. What I realized about the gallon was, it was super toxic and smelled, but it also dried too quickly. So what ended up happening is we spray it on and start cracking because of the sun, right? So in a factory, they want it to dry quickly because they want to be able to wrap it and ship it out. Well, on site, the dry time is super important. So what I realized is getting the final film properties is one thing, because people always ask, why can't other people do this? And you can get those final film properties, like the hardness, the gloss. Those are relatively easy to adjust. What's difficult is being able to apply those consistently on site. And I think that's where I add value, because I sprayed hundreds and hundreds of homes. So I know what to look for when we're spraying, right? Whether it be sag resistance, whether it be, dry time, open time, all of these things is what make it difficult to formulate these paints. And then above and beyond that is, okay, well, how do I adjust this on site based on different ambient air conditions? And that's one of our patents.
Yeah. I mean, for those of you just getting introduced to Spraynet, when we're on site, we are taking temperature readings. We know the moisture readings. There's a scan code on the gallon of paint or on our pails of paint that we scan, our crews scan, to make sure we're doing it right? To make sure that this process is dialed in, so we can, because we stand by our job, we stand by our work, but behind our coatings for 15 years, which really, you can imagine if we're going to put a 15-year warranty on it, when it's in the, the weather machine for these tests that Spraynet's run, it's gone longer than 15 years, right? Because this is a business and we don't want to be doing warranty work and losing money. But that 15-year warranty, I haven't seen anything like that in my due diligence in painting.
Yeah, so we do accelerated weathering tests, and the secret to it really is because the application conditions matter so much. So, when you buy a brand, let's say you go to the store and you buy a gallon, basically the application conditions that are ideal never really happen, right? And that's why you can't really warranty it. So it's not really the force of the product later, which is also one of the big characteristics that we have because we create custom chemistry for your service. So for example, the example I gave on a front door, we're not going to use the same product on your siding, right? Let's say your vinyl siding needs to be more flexible. It needs to be, there's different properties for each one. The gloss probably needs to be a bit lower. So on top of just having that custom chemistry, the application is so important because, if we get technical here a little bit, the paint needs to kind of create a film. That's called coalescence in coatings. And if you don't create this uniform film, what ends up happening is those weak spots in that film is what causes peeling. So we know that if we're creating this uniform film, if after the cure period, it'll essentially last forever, right? That's why we're confident in that 15-year no peel warranty.